Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
A federal judge's decision in Colorado yesterday means immigration agents will need a solid reason to make warrantless arrests in the state. The judge found that ICE is regularly making what he called collateral arrests of people they weren't looking for, then holding them for weeks or months. He's ordering ICE to comply with federal law, which only allows arrests like that if the agent establishes the person is a risk to flee. Unless it's overturned, the ruling could hinder ICE's efforts to meet the detention quotas set by the Trump administration. I'm Haley May. Coming up, maintenance work to keep up Colorado's most iconic sculpture. Yep, we're talking about the one at DIA.
Hopefully you're not claustrophobic if you're climbing inside, but that entire porthole or chest plate is removable, and that's how we service the interior.
Hear what Lucifer needs done. Then, how the governor wants to lower your car insurance rates.
Well, he's definitely not promising to stop hailstorms, but he's counting on making sure car owners understand just how damaging hail can be.
Plus, Mikaela Shriffrin, Lindsey Vonn, and others compete in Colorado this week. And from the quirky to the classic, hear the Thanksgiving traditions from the people who bring you the news.
It really smells when you cook them, but once they're done, it's off the chain. You know what I'm saying? I mean, especially with hot sauce.
It's Wednesday, November 26th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Denver International Airport expects a 10% increase in travelers over last Thanksgiving. If you're one of the hundreds of thousands heading to the airport this week, maybe take an extra moment to really notice the towering blue Mustang that stands guard outside.
You know, when you're driving by on Pena Boulevard in a car, you don't really recognize how tall and magnificent this sculpture is.
Samantha Weston manages public art for Denver's airport, including this sculpture, which just underwent some much-needed maintenance, like crack repair.
It can be a very harsh environment here. Out in the airport, we experience really high winds. We experience extreme temperature fluctuations, even within a single day. Sunshine 300 days a year. We have the elements, birds, rabbits, hail, snowstorms.
For part of the work, conservators actually have to climb inside through a door in the horse's impressive rippled chest.
Hopefully you're not claustrophobic if you're climbing inside, but that entire porthole or chest plate is removable, and that's how we service the interior.
The 32-foot-tall rearing Mustang is anchored in with a steel frame underground. Wired to that frame is an anti-corrosive metal, similar to what people use on boats or in a water heater.
And that ever so slightly changes the pH of the ground and helps prevent any kind of corrosion to the steel armature in the anchoring.
That's part of what it takes to keep this giant blue horse as a recognizable part of Colorado. But then there are the red, glowing eyes, which are arguably part of the reason the horse is so famous. Weston says for the late artist Luis Jimenez, the glow had a sentimental purpose.
It's really a nod to his father, as who you mentioned earlier had the neon sign shop and was a very core memory. And I think that's a really beautiful note of it. And Jimenez also talked about in an interview once, on the ranch, that he could see his horses kind of out there at night and he could see the subtle glow from their eyes and that he found that very comforting. So do I.
Thanks to CPR's Ryan Warner for this interview at the airport, and we hope you find some comfort if you're traveling this weekend. You're probably paying more for car insurance in Colorado than you would be elsewhere in the country. Car insurance rates here are the 5th highest among states, but Governor Jared Polis says he has a plan to bring that number down.
I was surprised that Colorado ranked 5th, and we feel that with this action plan, we can at least get to 10th over the next year and a half or so, and frankly, we'd love to go further.
He says theft and hail are the biggest things driving up insurance rates.
But if we can reduce hail damage by 20 or 30%, that'll have a major downward pressure on insurance premiums for everybody.
So how's he going to do that? Bozzy spoke with CPR's Benta Birkeland about the governor's proposal.
Benta, starting with the problem of hail, that's an act of God sort of thing. What can the governor do about that?
Well, he's definitely not promising to stop hailstorms, but he's counting on making sure car owners understand just how damaging hail can be. And he says the state wants to do a better job of alerting people to when a hailstorm is coming and then advising them how to get their car out of harm's way. So, parking in a covered area, or if that's not possible, getting a hail barrier or blanket cover. And hail damage really can be serious, especially if you have an older vehicle. Sometimes insurers decide it's cheaper to declare it totaled than to pay for repairs.
That has actually happened to me. What about car theft now? We have also ranked pretty high in the nation for that.
Yes, we definitely used to, but Polis is taking a little bit of a celebratory victory on that front.
Auto theft has decreased 50% over the last couple of years in the Denver area, but we want to reduce it even more.
And in this area, Polis isn't really pushing for new policies, but he has directed the state's Division of Insurance to try to get insurance carriers to bring their premiums down to reflect that companies are having to cover fewer stolen vehicles.
Another factor that drives up insurance rates is when people get in crashes and they don't have insurance. Is there much more the state can do about that?
Well, they're definitely trying to either scare or encourage people into getting insurance. If you've been on a major roadway lately, you may have seen warnings on the electric signs that driving without insurance is a crime. And the other side of that is the state is also trying to make it easier for law enforcement to figure out if someone is actually insured when they pull them over. So the state's working with the Department of Motor Vehicles to make that tracking system a little bit easier. And finally, if you don't have insurance but are ready to try to do that, the state has a new online toolkit to make it easier for people to compare rates and find policies.
So again, hail damage, car theft, uninsured drivers. What else is the governor taking on in his quest to bring down auto insurance rates?
A few more things. The state's trying to identify auto repair shops with a history of inflating insurance claims and then pushing insurance companies not to send customers to these shops. And last, but definitely not least, the state is trying to reduce the number of crashes overall. And the state is putting up more automated speed cameras in areas where road work is being done. And that's already started in Boulder County, and it's expanding to other parts of the state. And Colorado State Patrol and local law enforcement are doing a lot of sobriety checkpoints.
Some of it is just showing the shock and awe and people getting the sense, yes, you will be caught if you drive drunk in our state. Therefore, do not drive drunk.
Those checkpoints usually pick up around this time of year.
Yes, the statewide holiday DUI crackdown started last week. And to give you some figures, the state said last year, officials arrested more than 400 people for DUIs just over that Thanksgiving enforcement period. And ultimately, Polis says this effort is about a lot more than reducing what people pay for car insurance. It really is about the harm behind these claims. People lose their lives, there's injuries. And to underline this point, the state recently said that 184 people have died so far this year in crashes involving an impaired driver.
CPR's Benta Birkeland, thank you.
Thanks so much.
If you do find yourself somewhere this holiday weekend and you're not safe to drive home, the state has partnered with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to offer a discount on Uber rides. That's in the Denver area, and you can find more information about that in the show notes.
A warm-up for this year's Winter Olympics happens in Colorado this week. Some of the best skiers from around the globe will be at Copper Mountain to race in a World Cup event.
Yeah, I'm going to lay it all out there this year, hopefully make the Olympics, and then, see what happens.
River Radamus is actually gunning for his second Olympics. You might remember him from when he missed the giant slalom podium in Beijing by a fraction of a second.
On one hand, I think I outperformed other people's expectations, but on the other hand, I was so close to a lifelong dream. So I'd be lying if I said I haven't been thinking about that moment for the last 4 years. But, I'm trying to take every moment knowing that you never know if you get another chance at this.
That mindset seems to be paying off. After that last Olympics, Radames had his best season yet and hopes to keep the momentum going this week. The skier is from Edwards in Vail Valley, and he started a nonprofit called the Arco Foundation to make skiing more accessible and equitable. Radames and the others on the U.S. ski team spend about 250 days a year on the snow, most of it in Europe, so this chance to be close to home is unusual, especially for Kyle Negomir, who's from Littleton and grew up skiing right there at Copper.
So I'm trying to enjoy that part of it as well and realize how lucky I am to get a race at the highest level and kind of live out my dreams in places that I'm so familiar with and that I can have, friends and family come out and watch.
Negomir didn't qualify for Beijing 4 years ago.
And I think that was super tough for me. And I had to sort of make a decision about how to go about this. Is this worth fighting through the pain every day? Is it realistic that I can actually do this again?
Now he hopes to qualify in the Super G, which is more of a speed event than a technical one. The more experienced Olympians are on the women's side. Mikaela Shriffrin, who's also from Edwards, is considered the race's headliner. It's her first time racing in her home state since 2017, according to NBC, which will broadcast the event. And she's on a roll with 2 World Cup slalom wins already this season.
Mikaela Shriffrin in slalom, the best show on snow. And World Cup win 1:03.
Lindsey Vonn is also scheduled to be at Copper this weekend. She's in the second year of her comeback from injuries and a 6-year retirement, and is the oldest woman to podium in a World Cup race. She's 41, and she says she's trying to change people's perceptions of what women can accomplish at her age. The action starts tomorrow at Copper, and the women's races are on Saturday and Sunday. Then, for those who make it, the 2026 Winter Olympics starts in February in Italy. If you're looking to kick off Thanksgiving with some activity, you can find the nearest place for a turkey trot with a list at CPR.org. And while you may be getting out and bonding with your family on the move, I will be watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in pajamas while the turkey gets going, which is also a tradition. Thank you very much. Now let's hear from some other members of this big family that brings you Colorado Today.
I'm Ryan Warner, senior host of Colorado Matters. My Thanksgiving tradition chiefly involves a person, and that's my mother. I remember one year I was a television reporter in Sioux City, Iowa. I was out in the field working that day, and we managed to find a hotel buffet, sit down for lunch, and celebrate Thanksgiving, even though we lived miles and miles and borders apart.
Some of the traditions we build are more unusual than just a meal.
This is Dan Boyce. I'm a reporter at CPR. A few years ago, driving home to central Montana for the holidays, I picked up some lottery scratch tickets for me and my folks. And we scratched them all together, and then we took whatever winnings to buy more scratchers until we ran out of money. Fiscally responsible? No. But we've done it ever since.
While others hope to start something new.
I'm Western Slope reporter Stina Sieg, and the tradition I'm hoping to start with my 2 toddlers is watching that dog show. And I think no matter who you are, where you come from, there's something just really sweet about watching a Pomeranian and a Whippet and an Old English sheepdog battle it out for some trophy bigger than their body.
But mostly, tomorrow will be all about the food.
My name is Stephanie Wolf, and I am a producer on the podcast team. My family and we do an all-sides Thanksgiving, so we don't make the turkey. We just make the sides, because that's the best part of the meal anyways.
One side in particular sticks out in news fellow Sandy Batulga's mind each year.
Well, my family does a Mongolian-American fusion. My dad is super into Thanksgiving, so we usually have all the classic things, turkey, mashed gravy, and also Mongolian dumplings, which are called bods. There's not much flavoring. It's just like ground beef, onions, and dough, and it's really good, though.
Meanwhile, CPR reporter Tony Gorman says his most favorite holiday dish is
chitlins.
Those are made from
pork intestines. It's a southern delicacy. Let me just put it like this. It really smells when you cook them, but once they're done, it's off the chain. You know what I'm saying? I mean, especially with hot sauce.
Regional specialties can be the best part of the plate, like for our podcast producer, Mikaela Shriffrin.
Every year, we would do Dungeness crab and potato leek soup. I'm from San Francisco, and Dungeness crab season usually starts at the beginning of November, although that's gotten pushed back in recent years until January because of migrating humpback whales. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
At my house, we'll be serving our mashed potatoes with red chili instead of gravy. It's a New Mexican tradition and one of my most favorite. Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Tony Gorman. However you're gathering this week, we're grateful to be a part of your daily routine. Thanks for listening and for letting us join you at the table. I'm Haley May. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.